Hello guys and welcome back to Car Focused. Today's video, bit of a catch up with the Cupra. Believe it or not, it's actually been just over a year now since I've owned this car. That's absolutely flown by. But I more wanted to catch up with you guys and talk a bit more about this car because I last did a video kind of moaning and whining about how much the car was costing me. It all came to a head. The last video I just had to change quite a few things and it cost me quite a bit of money. If you haven't seen that video already, check it out. I'll post a link somewhere here or in the description below. Yeah, so I had to get new tyres, brakes, and I had issues with the shock absorbers as well. I suspected I had problems with the rear suspension. I may have been just being a bit paranoid at the time, and I was also doing MOT, so I was basically getting the car ready for an MOT, and tyres were, yeah, one of the main things. I had to replace all 4 tyres because the 2 rear tyres were out of shape. I was getting a bit of a rubbing noise and the fronts needed changing. So long story short, I ended up changing all 4 tyres. I've got Continental Sport Contact 7s now all round. Really good tyre. I'd actually say they're almost as good as the Michelin Pilot Sport 5s that I've got on my RS. Probably up there close to the 4S as well. Maybe not quite as good as the 4S, but as an all-round tyre, really impressed. See, I've got these tyres all around the car now. I've got the new brakes fitted on the rear discs and pads fitted, and the car went in for its MOT, and obviously it passed. We did get a couple of advisories, and those were the front shock absorbers because they're weeping. The car has DCC as standard, so dynamic chassis control, so it has an adaptive damping setup, and these cars are renowned for having weepy front shock absorbers, which this one does. Now, I was talking about getting that done under warranty, so taking it back to the garage when I had the MOT done and getting them to check it out under warranty. Basically, they said they're not going to replace the shocks unless they fail, essentially, which, you know, it doesn't sound safe, does it? You actually have to wait for the car to fail, or for the shock absorbers to fail, until they will replace them. Now, they're both weeping now, which came up as an advisory. One of them's weeping worse than the other, but I've got another issue with the car, so it's going to go back anyway, and then I'm going to get them to recheck the shock absorbers, because if they do get to the stage where they need replacing, I'm hoping they will change them for me. Yeah, so I had the new tyres, I had it in for its MOT, it passed the MOT. Now, in the last video I mentioned on the rear tyres, there was a bit of a mark on the edge of the tyre, and I suspected that these tabs here that you have on the rear as well were rubbing on the tyres as the suspension was coming down. Now, that was me being silly. It turns out it's just a characteristic of the tyre, because when I had the ones on the front done as well, I had the same mark around the edge. So I don't believe there's anything wrong with the suspension on the rear of this vehicle. And when it went in for its MOT, the car was checked and nothing was raised in that area. So that was probably me just being a bit paranoid. So, how has this car been over the last year? What are my thoughts of this car? Well, to be perfectly honest, my thoughts on this car haven't changed. I've always maintained it's a great car, it's great value for money, it's rapid out of the box, and compared to the other cars in the MQB range with the same engine, your Golfs, your Audis, etc., I still say this is the best of the bunch. You just get a good overall compromise. Yeah, the inside might not quite match the Golf, but it's not far off. You've got the same engine, you've got just shy of 300 brake horsepower through the front wheels, so you've got your Club Sport, your Mark 7 Club Sport power there, and it's a good looking car, and it's a Q car, so it's a bit of a sleeper. It's only if you know kind of thing. To most people it's just a normal Seat, but when you do decide to have a bit of fun, it's a very quick car indeed, especially with the DSG, and these EA 888 engines are superb. But my experience with the car, obviously I've run into the couple of issues that you already know about in relation to the shock absorbers, and I had the rattle and dash binnacle as well, which was fixed under warranty. I do have one more issue which I need to get sorted under warranty, and that is the window switches. So they both kind of went one after the other, which was a bit weird. Basically with the window switches you have a double click feature, so if you take it to the first click you have full control over the window. Take it to the second click, the window will go down on its own, a bit like when you bring the window back up. Basically the second click feature on both passenger side and driver side has broken. So there's a bit of a rattle now in the switches, that's obviously snapped. So the automatic window feature just doesn't work, so you just have to press and hold it to get the window all the way down. It's already been in when it had the MOT. They've looked at it and they said they will fix it under warranty. I'd need to get it booked back in, and there'll be 2 new switches fitted for that. I believe that might be a common issue as well. I know I've heard of somebody else that's had that problem. But other than that, the car has been pretty spot on. I had the tyres that were out of shape at the rear, but I changed the tyres. They were the original tyres anyway. So yeah, I've covered, what had it done? 29,000 miles when I bought it. I've done just nearly 44,000 now. So quite a few miles over the year. I've used it well. I've used it properly, how it's intended to be used. And I genuinely don't have any complaints about the car. It's literally been a cracking daily. 5 doors as well, so it makes it really practical for me getting my boy in the back. The boot space, I've never really had to use the boot, to be fair, but there's sufficient room in there. The comfort is there when you need it. You put it in comfort mode and you can cruise in this all day long with no problems at all. Stick it in sport, Cupra, engage manual gearbox, and you can have great fun. Now, I know that this car is quicker than my Mark II RS as well. Now, my Mark II RS, I think it's got around 330 horsepower. This allegedly has just under 300, so I know it's got the DSG, but you'd think the RS would trump it. But I've basically had so I've got a friend with a Mark III RS, and he's been out with me in my Mark II, and he was kind of, you know, catching me up. Went out with him in this, he was driving the Mark III, and I was, yeah, hanging on to the back of him quite nicely. So from that comparison, we've established that this is actually faster than the Mark II. Still yet to get both together side by side, but I can just tell that this is quicker anyway. But these are a sublime engine, just solid power through the rev range. You don't really get any turbo lag, and all the way up to the red line, you've just got that solid power. And when the gear changes, it pulls all the way through. So yeah, I've literally, over the last year, it's been absolutely perfect. There is a negative that I've encountered. Now, I paid 21,000 for this from a dealer, a main dealer, and the prices just seem to have plummeted over the last year. Now, I know obviously if you go trade, you're going to get a lower price, but if I go onto like Motorway or We Buy Any Car or anything like that, I'm getting like offers for like 17 grand, sometimes under 17 grand. So the trade-in value for this is pretty shocking, considering I paid 21 for it just over a year ago. Even on the private market, I think I'd probably be lucky to get 18 and a half, maybe under 18 and a half. So yeah, there is a bit of depreciation involved, and I suppose that's where the likes of a Golf GTI would fare better. But yeah, that is one negative that I've encountered. Now, it may be the case that in the next few months, I might be letting this car go. Now, it's through no fault of the car. Like I say, there's nothing wrong with the car. It's purely because just everything's going crazy at the minute financially. My mortgage has gone up £400 a month. We've just remortgaged. Everything is going up, and I'm kind of like, I did a video about living within my means, and I'm kind of thinking, do I need to be spending this much? Do I need 2 hot hatches for a start? Do I need to be spending this much on fuel, tax, that kind of thing? I mean, it's not horrendous on fuel. It will happily do 35 to 40 miles to the gallon if you take it nice and easy, but it's a car that you do tend to drive it faster than what you would if you had a more normal car. So I am kind of weighing up some options in my head at the minute. I have a car in mind which I'm after. It seems in the spec I'm after, it's incredibly rare. There's only one of them on Auto Trader at the minute nationwide. I'm sure that'll all come to light soon for you guys of what that is, but I don't want to say anything at the moment. So yeah, there is a chance this might be moving on, and I will be sad to see it go because it is a brilliant car. But I'd rather save a bit of cash and spend it elsewhere, doing stuff with my family and things like that. But yeah, I thought I'd do a quick video, just a catch up and just explaining my experience with this car for the last year. Yeah, I've loved it, and I would recommend, if someone is looking for an automatic car that's quick and they want a petrol with 5 doors, so a bit of practicality as well, just something that does it all basically, then this is definitely a car to consider. And I don't know why more people don't buy them. You just don't seem to see that many of these on the road. But it's good for me, because I like to have a car that's not too common. But yeah, I don't really think there's anything else I was going to discuss about the car really. Everything else seems to be going very smoothly. No other dramas in terms of mechanical failures or anything like that. It will go back for its window switches under warranty, and then we'll plod on. We've got a solid ticket on it now, MOT ticket, and it's had its service, and yeah, it just might be going at some point. But yeah, anyway guys, that's it. Just thought I'd owe you a quick update on the Cupra and a little year recap as well. As always, anyway, take care, look after yourselves, and I shall see you soon.